Mr. McGeaney?
Yeah, well, you know, it's not every day you get to hear your own eulogy, so this is it's quite a treat. And thank you all for showing up for Joe Amico's birthday party. That's very nice.
Oh, just love.
Do I get his present? You know, ordinarily I'm kind of an off-the-cuff guy, but I wanted to put my thoughts down on paper, so forgive me as I read these remarks. Please know that they're heartfelt, even though they're written down. Let me start where every good thing in my life begins, my family. I haven't led a perfect life, but I must have done something good to have been blessed with my beautiful wife, Stephanie, and my two spectacularly and equally beautiful daughters, Sharon and Emily, and a son-in-law who is perfect except for the fact that he's a Yankees fan. Without their unwavering support and the personal sacrifices that they've made, I would not be able to be here, and I would not have been able to spend the last 20 years serving the city that I love so well. And although tonight will likely be my last official act as the member of the Peabody School Committee, I take great comfort in knowing that our schools are in the very capable hands of our chairman, Mayor Ted Betancourt. It's been a great honor to serve with you, Ted, and your predecessor as well, Mayor Michael Bonfanti. If the committee would grant me one final indulgence, I'd like to offer some observations as well as some advice, and particularly for our two new school committee elects. Today, public education is under attack by forces of big business, big government, big egos, and perhaps most dangerously of all, the indifference of an unsuspecting citizenry. You as members of the school committee are the last line of defense against those who would dismantle the American public school system. The responsibility to protect the very soul of that which has made our country the greatest nation in the history of civilization falls upon you. And you thought your biggest challenge was going to be keeping athletic fees low. The enemy of public education continuously make unsubstantiated promises that they alone know how to better prepare students for college and career, when in reality, they seek only to enrich themselves. We are under attack by those who blame teachers for conditions beyond their control: poverty, deficient parenting, the astonishing escalation of students with physical and mental health issues. These are the challenges today that face our teachers in public schools. And their task is made only more difficult by the relentless pressure and unfunded mandates imposed by those ivory tower educrats who likely haven't seen the inside of a classroom since the Carter administration. Over the years, I've read hundreds of school improvement plans. Collectively, they've contained several thousand very specific and prioritized requests for things they desperately desire. Things like school nurses, full-day kindergarten, roofs that don't leak, smaller class sizes, reading specialists, school adjustment counselors, enough textbooks for every student. And all of those thousands of things our school leaders said they needed to better serve our kids, not once, not one single time did I ever see a request for more high-stakes testing. And yet, based on the fanatical obsession of the U.S. Department of Education and our own Massachusetts Commissioner of Education, you would believe that more high-stakes testing and student data collection is the only thing our schools need. It's rubbish. One of the most profound moments I've had as a member of the school committee occurred one day when I made an unscheduled visit to the Brown School. Principal Metropolis graciously invited me into her office, but I could tell something was on her mind, as she was not her usual upbeat self. I probed, and she told me that at the end of the school day, she was going to have to tell a child that she would not be returning to her home and would instead have to live with her grandfather because Mom went to court today and was sentenced to jail. And since they didn't allow pets at her grandfather's apartment building, they had to give away her little dog that she loved more than anything else in the world. Would you care to speculate how that child performed on her MCAS test that week? You see, bureaucrats won't shed tears for that child, but our principals and teachers do. They make sure that kids have enough coats that are warm and enough food to eat. Our teachers know that Johnny isn't lazy, but he only gets a few hours of sleep every night. They know that Sally isn't defiant. there's just nowhere in her house to do homework and no one there who cares that she doesn't. My colleagues, your cause is a noble cause. When you defend public education, you are defending children. When you stand up for teachers, you are standing up for our country's first line of defense against poverty, tyranny, and oppression. As the great historian of education, Diane Ravitch, put it, an attack on public education is an attack on democracy. You will hear it said from self-proclaimed education reformers that American education is failing. They say it is obsolete, that we spend more and more but achievement levels are flat. You will hear them say our public schools are in crisis. Well, there is a crisis, but it's not the crisis that these opportunists would have us believe. The crisis we're in right now is the appalling underinvestment of public education and the perverse obsession with testing and using test scores to punish students, fire teachers, and close schools. That's the crisis. Until recently, Massachusetts had a governor who actively participated in wrestling away local government control of public schools to put it in the hands of the federal government. And our current governor is a vocal proponent of charter schools who would take local control from public schools and put it in the hands of private for-profit corporations run by the likes of Michael Milken, notoriously famous for his conviction in the junk bond scandals. I urge you to be keenly skeptical of all who purport to have a solution to rescue our public schools. In my opinion, you have been given a sacred trust to jealously guard and protect this institution. Should you fail, our public schools will soon be there to serve only those children who are poor and severely disabled. In closing, I thank the citizens of Peabody for allowing me the opportunity to represent them on the Peabody School Committee for the past 20 years. It's the second greatest role I'll ever have, the first being that of a dad. I think my sentiments can best be summarized in the words of one of the world's greatest philosophers, Winnie the Pooh. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Thank you.